Creating an asset list like this with all the assets that you believe you'll need to make will really put into context exactly how much you have to build for this scene. Writing it down will really give you a sense of, hey, maybe I have way too many things to build in the amount of time I need to. So then I need to scale things back. So if we're looking here for 10 weeks, this is quite a lot of assets. Now, some of you may not be as proficient in modeling as others, so you might need to scale some of this back. You could look at it and be like, what could I easily cut from this environment here? Let's see, this is the kind of original reference that I really liked. Really gave me a good sense. So what could I really cut from this to still make this overall environment and still have the story moments I want to without having to sacrifice all my time and create subpar work? So when you have all your assets written out, you can look through here and be like, maybe if I cut out the Pioneer cabin, I can give myself more time to focus on some of the Native American aspects that I would potentially like to add. Maybe I don't have enough time to make a third type of tree, so I get rid of the pine tree and just focus on 2 different large red fir trees and 1 smaller one. That was our secondary asset. So we're just cutting out a few assets here and there that we can figure out, okay, this is actually now a manageable amount of assets to make. We've got a large hero rock that will require some sculpting, 2 large boulders that will each utilize tiling textures and potentially a UV space blended texture like snow or sand, moss, or dirt on it to give it a lot of different variation. A small collection of little rocks, maybe a rubble pile with a rock and dirt mix. Again, our 2 trees, a set of tree roots that can go out from the trees to kind of give a more integrated feeling to the tree into the ground. Some snow chunks, we're going to want to have a large snowbank, a medium snowbank, maybe some hanging icicles, a large and medium sized one of those. And then when we're looking at our foliage, we're going to want to have a small grass clump, a living and a dead version. We can easily do this by changing the shader up. A small grass clump with flowers in it, just to help blend from grass with no flowers to flowers themselves. A medium grass clump, again, a living and dead version. Same with the large grass clump. And then sets of flowers, some dead twigs, and then a few bushes here and there. And for our man-made assets, we're looking at a Native American teepee, possibly a cooking fire, possibly a Native American animal skin that's been left out to dry and cure in the sun. And so once we have our asset list, then we can start to look at what kind of textures we'll also need. Again, this will be a great help for figuring out if you have too much on your plate already. So we have 2 tiling rock textures. We have one with horizontal cuts and one that's just kind of really broken up and chunky. This will be great for our tiling rocks that we're going to want to build, as we'll be able to use these and blend the 2 together to get different looks and have a really unique looking asset without having to sculpt every asset. We'll also have our unique 1-to-1 sculpted rock, probably a 1-to-1 unique sculpted rock pile. These work great. 2 tiling dirt textures. We're going to want to have something with possibly very clean dirt, one that has maybe some small pebbles mixed into it, or maybe we're looking for more of a muddy riverbank. We'll want a tiling grass texture, as this is going to kind of be a spring to winter transition, so we're going to want to have some tufts of grass in there. We're going to want to have 3 tiling snow textures, a light fallen snow, a heavy chunky snow that's got a real thick base to it, and then a really hard packed snow that looks kind of as it's iced over. For our trees, we're going to need a tiling red fir trunk texture. It'll go up all through the base, and it'll be the trunk and the branches. We'll want a leaves texture for the red fir. This will have the evergreen leaves, possibly a snow variation, and even the smaller little branches that will connect to the base of the tree. Now, if we're removing the pine textures, you can easily focus then just in on the red fir texture. We might also need a broken kind of chewed up tree texture if we want to get this really nice looking fallen over log or cut down tree look. Then we'll want to have 1 grass texture that encompasses basically all of our grass. This could even include our flowers, depending on how much we can really fit into our grass texture. So we'll easily be able to get in our small grass, our medium grass, and our large grass all in this one texture sheet. We'll need a bush texture for our small little bushes, possibly a twig and leaf texture that we can easily make small twigs and leaves to sprinkle along the bases of trees to really help kind of cement them down to the ground. We'll need our Native American teepee texture, the Native American animal skin texture, and then again, if we were going to go further and do the pioneer aspect of the scene, would need, a stone texture for the chimney, tiling wood texture for the cut wood beams that would look really nice, and then potentially even the painted wood for the door and the window. But again, when you're looking at your scene and judging it, do you have enough time to create all of this in 10 weeks? Now I'm looking at it and I'm like, maybe I should cut all of the Pioneer stuff out. So I've removed it from my asset list. It'd be great to come back to it if I have time to do it, but I don't want to let my other assets suffer for that. This is one of the great benefits of taking your reference and actually breaking it down before you start your scene. It'll help you break it down into the assets you'll need. You'll be able to make a clear asset list and figure out what you need for your scene. And if you're biting off a bit more than you can chew with the amount of time you're going to have and where your current skill set is. Now don't worry, the more you do this, the faster you become, and the more you can add to a scene later on. But again, for this class, we want to be able to complete an entire organic environment in 10 weeks. So I want you to really think about what you can actually accomplish in those 10 weeks. If you want to go back and add things later, that's totally fine, and a great way to continue on your scene from taking it from a really good scene to an amazing scene.